Yep. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Shadowknight283 and I'm going to be running Klonoa Door to Phantomile for the PS1. And with me I've got my commentator Infinity Gene. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, howdy. I'm Infinity Gene. I'm also a runner for Klonoa as well. And I'm going to be helping Shadow guide his way through the wonderful world of Phantomile.
And I am your host, Nashlex here. Welcome back, everyone, to UKSG Red 2025. We're raising money for Crisis. We have hit the £200 mark already. Thank you so much so far. Keep on donating, everyone. We have wonderful incentives open, and we have a great run for you. Like, honestly, Shadow, go ahead. It's all yours.
Alright, so timing starts when we first move, so just get that ready. Get through the options.
That's part of the challenge.
Yep. First cutscene.
Yep. Going to be skipping a lot of the
Okay, so
cutscenes.
I'll count it down. So in 3, 2, 1, go.
Right then, so yeah, we're in the wonderful world of Phantomile, where we're playing as the protagonist, Klonoa, who's a bit of a rabbit and I think a bit of a rabbit and a cat at the same time. We're not too sure, but yeah. So we're going to be using Klonoa to perform all of our gameplay, of course. So we'll be using the Wind Ring as our sort of primary weapon, which allows us to pick up all these enemies that you see here, which are known as moves. There are different types of moves in the game, but the regular ones are usually the red moves. As you saw, there's some bouncing ones there. The other thing that we can do with the moves that we collect, we can use them to attack enemies, or we can use them to activate mechanisms. But one of the main mechanics we use is we're going to be using it for double jumping. So when we pick up a move, we can basically jump again after we've jumped to do a double jump. So that's pretty much the basic mechanics of the game. Klonoa also has a slight hover mechanic as well. If you hold down the jump button, sometimes we'll use this as well just to make it cross certain gaps. But we'll be using double jumps to sort of skip parts of the level, because the game works on sort of 2.5D perspective. So while the environments are all 3D, Klonoa himself is 2D, so he's stuck onto like a sort of linear path. But we can sort of break that pathing a bit by jumping up onto the other paths if they're sort of in the same sort of area. So we're just moving on to 1-2. It's a bit of a quiet sort of level inside the mines, with the lead up with the boss coming up shortly. So in each world we've got 2 levels, followed by a boss fight at the end. As Shadow Knight goes onto the wonderful roller coaster section, which is probably the hardest section in the game because he does absolutely nothing on it. So he's just riding it, and unfortunately they didn't really build it that well at the moment because it seems to be breaking down already. What have you done to it, Shadow?
I don't know.
Well, they've worked so hard to make that, and it's completely broken.
I'm really sorry.
Oh. But yeah, it's going to go outside here, just going to get across these sort of grassy areas. But yeah, so going back to sort of part of the gameplay, again, most of the time we're going to be doing a lot of double jumps. Some interactables are in the foreground and the background as well, so basically Klonoa can throw left, right, downwards, or forwards and backwards, basically, because it's 2.5D perspective, so things in the background you can also interact with by throwing enemies into them. So Shadow here is just going to have to pick up a move to break down this pillar so it knocks down. It's an unskippable cutscene here, so just knocks that. Just have to wait till it falls down. Down it goes. Lovely. So we're about to approach the first boss fight of the game, Rongo Lango. So pretty much each boss fight has a weak spot and X amount of HP. We just have to use the moves to hit those weak spots and to defeat it. Bosses usually have a range of about 3 to 4 different attacks. And we're just about to get into the first boss fight, Rongo Lango. One of your favourites, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
So what Shadow here is going to do, he's going to grab the move straight away and just attack it before it turns around. He's going to grab a move here and try and do a damage boost to get behind him quickly. Like so. And then he can hit him again, get another move, and just rinse and repeat. Sometimes he might not get it in time, and then he might do a spin attack like that. So he can do a spin attack, a jump attack, or a wave attack. He can also do a sort of, well, obviously he can spin around as well. But Shadow's just going to get one more hit on him. You can also hit the back of him when he bends down as well. And that is the first world done.
Yeah, so I'm just going to give a brief mention to the 2 different versions that I use for running this game. There's 2 versions, the PS1 version, obviously I'm running on that now, and there's also the PS2 version, which is also commonly known as the NAM Collection version. which was released in Japan only. It saves around 15 seconds over this version of the game due to load times, and there's like other subtle differences with like wall clips, which we will see later.
Yeah, so we'll see some of these clips going from 3-1 onwards pretty much. But for the most part, for the first 2 worlds, it's going to be pretty much all movement-based the strats that we're going to be doing here. So one thing we're going to introduce here are these leaves that you can see going up and down. Every time you enter the room, they're obviously on a sort of like room cycle. So as soon as you enter a room, those leaves are going up and down. Ideally, we want to go for certain leaf positions, so we want to keep moving every time we enter a room. With the second room coming up after this room here, we're going to want to constantly keep moving, but we're also going to just make sure that we keep moving so we can make this leaf cycle so we can get up onto the next platform sooner rather than later. You might have also noticed there was a key door. So those key doors, obviously they need keys because they're a key door. So we're going to pick up keys and we're going to open the doors with them, but not all the time. So we made this leaf cycle here so we could skip a few seconds there so we could get up quickly. But yeah, with these key doors, later on we're probably not going to be using any keys at all because we're probably just going to decide to walk through them because it's more fun that way. So here, Shadow's just got to be a little bit careful here because these leaves can be a little bit erratic with their movements. This move here can also be a bit of a pain as well. It can knock you off and it's hard to recover sometimes. So he's going to grab this red move here and he's going to try and skip a few seconds here, like so. So as you can see, you can sort of skip parts of the route basically by jumping at certain positions, and it lets you go on to the next sort of like layer in a way. We also skip cutscenes by just mashing start as well because unfortunately we're not going to be listening to the wonderful story of Klonoa. But a bit of a spoiler warning. Bad guy wants to bring the nightmare. Klonoa says no. Klonoa defeats him. The end.
Yeah. I'm also taking a few safety saves throughout this run, mainly for 3 levels in this game, 2-2, 4-2, and 6-2. In the boss fights, there is a potential that this game can crash, and it's a bit random. So, just for marathon's sake, I'm taking it a bit safe.
I mean, crashing's not too bad, is it? It's just
It's never happened to me, but yeah.
So as you saw there, Shadow was able to skip another portion of the level just by using the moves to get a double jump. So there's stuff like that where you can just grab a move and take advantage of that extra jump height. So he's going to try and grab this move here and jump up. There we go. That saves him grabbing a move in a second, so he can easily just go up on this water spout without having to wait. So most of these like slight movements are just optimization. If anything, it all builds up to a few seconds in the end, the more you do them. So here he's just going to constantly keep moving and moving. He's not really going to stop at all, really, for this section, with the exception of just one move that he needs to jump up to the ledge. So here he's just going to either grab this move, or he's going to grab the yellow move, and then jump up here. And then for the rest of the level, it's pretty much straightforward. There's a bit of a water slide section coming up, which is just as simple as just going down it and jumping across some of these spiky moves. So I'll pass it over to Nash, because I think it's a good time for any donations.
I sure as will have a donation for you. I have £50 from the man behind the lights who says something, and it's a donation that's honestly meant for me and all the fellow hosts that are down the line. I'd like to make a quick PSA announcement. I fixed the tracker, Nashlex. You can use the donation reader screen now. Thank you so much, Kemi, for that. I appreciate everyone working behind the scenes at UKSG. I want to give a quick and lovely shout out to them. There's a lot of people involved that are making this stream happen. Give yourselves a quick little hug, maybe a pat on the back or a pat on the shoulder. Like, find another friend to do it for you. Whatever you need, they're there for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this. Keep donating for this wonderful charity. I'd also like to quickly shout out BSG for supporting us over here in the wonderful, wonderful nation. And yeah, they're doing an event quickly soon, about a month from now. They'll be doing PSG Plus the 22nd of February. I'm actually running that marathon, so I'm shouting it out. And they're doing a full week-long marathon there, all the way to March 1st. And you can see that at BSG Marathon, their little Twitch channel over there. And there's also one coming up a month later, thanks to NSG, who's also part of the lovely crew of wonderful events that you can see around the year. And they're doing an event in April 11th to 13th, also a weekend event, and that's on their channel, on the NSG Marathon channel. So yeah, enjoy this run. By the way, Shadow, I want to mention, I love this version. I know there's a remake of it. This is the one I grew up with, so I'm loving seeing this. So keep on going, man. You're doing great.
Thank you very much.
So with this boss fight here, we're going against Pamela and also Seedoff. Seedoff is like another Moo, and as Shadow's trying to grab Seedoff here off Pamela, he can throw Seedoff into Pamela to attack her. Pamela has 3 different types of attacks, 2 spin attacks, 2 dive attacks, and then also a bubble attack, which you don't want to touch these bubbles, even though they look awesome to touch. And then Seedoff sometimes goes onto these spiky balls, but we can easily grab them that way, and that's the second boss done.
Yeah, missed a few grabs off the back, but it's okay.
Yeah. The grabs can be a little bit awkward, but they are sort of the unintentional way to do the level. Normally you would wait for Seedoff to go onto the spike balls. So, and now we're moving on to 3-1, which is going to introduce a lot of the more fun skips of the game, for sure. Some of the key door skips, which, yeah, it's quite interesting how they're done on this game. A lot of the clips that we do require us to do one frame inputs. So basically we're going to be just tapping on the D-pad for 1 frame to be able to start clipping into the door. If we start holding it for more than 1 frame, we'll get pushed back basically. So we're going to see that in about a minute's time. We just have to come over here to talk to this NPC, skip the cutscene, and then it activates the elevator on the far right. So now Shadow's just going to go up here. There's another key that we have to pick up here. So we have to go up into the sort of background here. So we're out on here. It's just beautiful how the game is just built in this way where it, you know, has this sort of 2.5D perspective that allows you to sort of interact with it in all dimensions. It's just a wonderful experience, really. And like this game in general, it's worth a play casually for sure, just for the story alone. So, but yeah, as you can see, there's different types of moves. There's flying moves, blue moves. The blue moves are just the armored moves, which need to be hit first before you can pick them. Spring moves, ant moves, moves everywhere. They don't go moo though. They're not a cow. So Shadow here is just going to grab one of these moves here because to do these clips, he requires a moo in his hand. And what he's going to do, he's going to go right up to the key door on the left, and then he's going to jump, tap for 1 frame on the left, and then hold left once he gets the clip through the door. It's important to do both at the same time. Let's see if he gets it. And it definitely takes a little bit of practice, this, but it's not like relatively hard to do. It's just getting that 1 frame input. There we go.
Nice. Yeah, that's one trick that's a little bit different on NAM Collection. I mentioned earlier with different tricks. For that one on NAM Collection, I believe you have to do 2 frame perfect inputs to the left. On the PS1 version, you only have to do 1 frame perfect input and then hold for the second input. So it's a little bit easier.
So normally with this section here, you would have to get a moo and then go all the way around to go get a key. But we don't believe in keys, do we? With keys, it's just a waste of time. So we're going to do another clip in here. This time we're going to do 1 frame to the right, 1 frame tap to the left. Once we get that 1 frame to the right, ideally we're trying to land on top of the door frame here. And then once we're there, we're going to do 1 frame tap to the right again, and then 1 to the left. So it's right, left, basically. There we go. Nice. So we're into the coaster sequence here, and ideally we're not meant to really have a moo in this room right now. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and maintain this moo as long as possible until we get to the end, because at the end of this room there's a box that we can break, which saves a few seconds. Pretty much the pattern of this room is the same, so it's going right, then left, and right. It looks like Klonoa's colliding with those spike moves, but that's just because the layering of those sprites is a bit weird. Here, Shadow's just going to jump through these hoops, so he's going to jump to the far left instead, because it's a little bit easier to manage. There's 1, there's 2, and now he's going to stand all the way to the right. Now, it looks like he's going to get hit here with these spike moves, but no, he's perfectly fine. Same for these ones here as well. And that's the coaster one. You didn't break that coaster this time. So we're approaching the end of this 3-1 level. So we're going to break that box early, so we get a few seconds to save there. Grab this spring move, and then we can jump here and then do another jump. So in a way, that's like a triple jump, sort of. It's not really a triple jump, it's more like a super high double jump. So I'm going to grab this like B move, break the armor. That moves the blue move, and then we're going to try and hit the switch. There. Ooh.
Oh, I missed.
You've got to be very careful in this game, because if you pause the game and press quit, it instantly quits the game. There's no like, are you sure or anything? It just goes back to the main menu. So it's got to make sure that we don't do that. And yeah, so we're going to grab that move that's flying there, and then we're pretty much approaching the end of 3-1. And then 3-2, it's it's a pretty straightforward level, but it's just a little bit long because we have to go from one side of the level to the other, but we'll get onto that in a moment. Got a wonderful boss coming up as well in a few minutes' time. Gonna look forward to that. So now it's going to introduce a new type of move, bomb moves, which are sort of like time bomb moves, so they'll explode after a few seconds. So we're going to throw it to the switch because the switch activates this, and then it swings us around. So now we're going to go into this room. This level in general, casually, can be a bit mazy. There's quite a few rooms to go into, but to begin with, you want to go to the far right here, and you want to pick up the key. The reason why you need to pick up the key is because we need to go to the far right to go do the rest of the level. We'll be back here later once we've activated a mechanism that lets us continue on with the level. So I believe there's a way to skip this door coming up, right?
Yeah, there's a way to store the move, and you can skip the door animation. It saves about 2 or 3 seconds. I didn't do it here though.
Yeah. So that door animation where you're waiting for the door to open, like you can't move during that duration. But there is a way to store the move to make you just instantly go through the door instead of having to wait for it to swing open. Got to be a little bit careful here because these platforms are definitely thin. And there we go. So we're going to fall down and hit the switch. You don't need the move to hit the switches in this game. This pink door here we're going to be coming back to later. It's a bit of a shortcut to return back to where we were earlier. And then we're going to be approaching a room in a moment, which allows us to do, well, it introduces triple jumping basically, where we can repeatedly grab moves while in midair after doing a double jump to do another jump. And that's sort of one of the main mechanics of the game as well, where it allows you to do even higher jumps. But at this point, I'd say this is another good time for any messages from our wonderful host.
You can send it over to me whenever you want. I'd like to shout out a few things here. First off, I just talked about all the people that are working behind the scenes. You know how you can support them and keep the lights on, not just the back lights, but the one in front as well. You can do it by finding a little button on your screen in your Twitch chat that says Prime Sub. You can use that. It's free. You can just add it to the channel, and you're supporting everyone here, and you're supporting the marathons that are upcoming as well, because we are doing 3 events a year here at UKSG. So if you want to keep it up, you want to keep us going, throw a Prime Sub our way. It's always nice to do. Like, it's supporting the people that are working behind the scenes, and they will appreciate you tremendously for it. And again, we are raising money for Crisis here this weekend, so keep your donations going. It really helps them out. It's a wonderful cause. I can't recommend it enough, and I'll talk more about it in a little bit.
Thank you, thank you. So we're just going to be going through this room here. There is another way to save a little bit of time here. So now that we've activated the mechanism, the sort of swinging pendulum platform will start moving. But there's a way to clip in a move, which allows us to skip waiting for this platform, because we can't jump on this normally until it swings back to the right, and then swings back to the left. So it's a minor time save, but it's definitely worth trying to go for to start learning it.
Yeah, it saves around 7 seconds. A little bit tricky to do, but not too bad.
It's important to note as well that you could think about perhaps getting a move over here early and just jumping up here early. There's no point in doing that, because when you get over here, the mechanism needs to be activated for this to move upwards. And because there's no moves available in this area, you're basically not going to be able to proceed until you activate that mechanism. So we're approaching the 3rd boss fight of the game, which is not one of my favourites, Gelgbolm. It's a bit of an unusual name, but it's a very unusual boss as well, especially when it frustrates us sometimes, especially when we can't.
Yeah, especially the fast route. I'm going to attempt it here, but I probably will fail it. Hopefully I'll get it though.
Yeah. So with Gelgbolm, there's multiple attacks it'll do. Ideally, we're trying to skip what we call the meatball attack. You're going to see that probably... Well, you might see that in this fight, we'll see. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to drop moves vertically downwards into Gelgbolm's mouth. And it's kind of weird, the hitbox, because it's sort of like a V shape, basically. So Shadow's just going to do a bit of timing here. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate, yeah.
So what we were trying to do there is we were trying to time it just at the right moment, because we want the moves to respawn so we can quickly rush and go grab another one. So now this is the meatball attack. Very nice. This one easily you can just jump over. There is another one later that's a little bit bigger, and it can be a little bit awkward to jump over. After the meatball attack, Gelg will do a slam attack, and they'll keep doing this attack until you attack it again. Now it's going to enrage a little bit. Thankfully, we grabbed a move before it jumped off the edge, because they'll just continuously do that. And then we're going to grab another move and then get ready for the giant meatball. And again, it's only going to do this meatball attack once, and then it'll just keep rushing at the end, so it doesn't keep repeating this, which is actually kind of generous of a boss, really. It doesn't even do the jump attack anymore. And that's Gelg 1 done. That's 3-2. It can be a bit of an awkward boss for sure. Like if you're on a really good pace and then it just doesn't decide, the move decides not to go inside the weak spot. So
yeah, just gonna take another safety save here because the trick in the next level can be quite difficult to do. It's probably the hardest trick in this game.
Yep. So we're sort of back to the first world again, except this is now World 4. It's basically coming back to the original village. Shadow's now going to perform some more clipping. This clipping still requires a moo to do, so pretty much all clipping requires a moo in the hand. And we're going to do some one frame taps to the left. And it's important to do it sort of away from the wall, and we're going to start clipping ever so slowly. And Shadow's going to get in through the wall, and then he's going to jump across to the other side. This is one of the it's one of the harder clips to do for sure in the run. Oh. Okay, nice, there we go. Pretty good that. So that skips a good portion of the level. We've got another skip coming up as well in a short while, which is going to skip pretty much the rest of the level. This skip coming up though, it's not a clip, it's more multiple jumping, so it's more like it's a little bit, I guess, skill based. It's all skill based to be honest, but yeah, so this one requires us to continuously keep using moves to keep jumping around. So we'll be grabbing one move, then we'll be grabbing a flying one, another flying one, falling down, using that one to do a jump, a double jump, grabbing that one, grabbing another one, and yeah, so it's like 4 or 5 moves this sequence, so I'm gonna let Shadow do this. Nice, first try, well done.
Nice. Yeah, that one worried me a bit because I was failing it a lot in practice earlier.
Wow, that was good though, well done.
Thank you.
It's definitely a frustrating trick to do for sure, because if you start failing it, it does start getting to you, and it's like, oh, come on, I want to get it done. So now we're moving on to 4-2. It's one of the shorter levels of the run for sure. Pretty much a lot of sliding around, sliding down these grassy hills, and then down some water slides. It's kind of important to just be careful with your HP here, but there is plenty of HP to pick up as well. So again, lots of sliding. Getting extra lives because, well, we kind of picked up extra lives just in case certain earlier levels were a bit problematic, but for now I think we're pretty much going to be alright for now, especially with 7 lives in our pocket. 8 lives, never mind. Can never have too many lives. So here we're just going to grab some moves. These are sort of like the fire wizard moves. Break the crystal, grab that move there. We didn't, I don't know if we meant to throw that.
Oh, wait, I was meant to grab that.
I was like, ooh, is this a new strat he's doing?
No, not quite.
So we're going to break this crystal here. It's fun to know this as well, like when you hit a cutscene, you're actually invulnerable for a couple seconds once you skip it. It's just to protect Klonoa during cutscenes, pretty much. So here we're going to just get past this fire move. These can be a bit of a pain because it can push you the wrong direction and keep draining your HP, but we're going to throw it away. So yeah, pretty much we're approaching the 4th boss of the game. Oh. The 4th boss, there's a chance to crash the game if we mash the start button too much or at the right time, but for the wrong reasons, basically. So what we're going to try and do is we're probably just going to take it nice and not too slow, but we're just going to mash a little bit slowly just to reduce that chance. So we've got 2 HP at the moment. That should be okay for the boss. Just got to be a little bit careful. This boss also has more HP than some of the other bosses in the game. So it's 8 HP. But the idea is we can do double hits to the boss, so we can deal 2 hits of damage every time. You'll see different coloured shards on the boss. These represent the different attacks it can do. So what we're going to do is try and target the yellow triangles first, because that stops additional invincible enemies from spawning in, the like bootleg Pokemons pretty much. So the green, blue and the red attacks, they're usually fine. You can avoid them just by generally avoiding them. But the yellow ones are certainly the ones that frustrate us the most, just because they're in the way. and they can tag us if we're on low HP. So as you can see, we're getting double hits there if we just hit in between the triangles. I don't know if that's intentional in the game or not. I would have to think it must be, because it must be
I think it was intentional.
Yeah. And that's World 4.
Hopefully it doesn't crash. I think we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, nice.
So now we're moving on to 5-1, which is, again, another very interesting level, which showcases a bunch of skips. So on this one, we're going to be collecting 4 orbs. It's a bit of a rip-off of like the Final Fantasy series. We have to collect 4 elements and everything. So we're going to start off with the red orb first. Ideally, we're going to go in this order: red, blue, yellow, and green. It's the fastest way to do it, but some people prefer doing their own orbs in whatever order. It's just how you feel, what preference you want. There's not really too much difference there. So with this one here, we're going to be doing a bit of checkpoint abusing. So it's checkpoint/death abusing. What we're going to do is we're going to hit a checkpoint unintentionally by throwing a moo at the right time. Basically, the checkpoint is behind this grey wall at the top here, and what we want to do is do a double jump, grab a moo, and then throw it to that checkpoint and then die. So we're going to see if we get it here. Nice. So what that does here, it skips the rest of that section there and puts us right next to the red orb, because the checkpoint was right here. And now we can proceed to drop off that red orb. You can only carry 1 orb at a time, but to be honest, that makes sense because the routing kind of only directs you to get 1 at a time anyway. So now we're going to move on to the blue orb next. So the blue orb requires us to do some more clipping, again by picking up a moo and then doing some 1-frame inputs to the left. With these clips that we do as well, we do them away from the wall, because I think you have to sort of start doing the tap sort of a little bit away, because you can't really do it while rubbed against a wall.
Yeah, for this one we're gonna like jump at against the wall, and that puts us in the right position to clip.
Got to be careful here though, because if you clip and you sort of position yourself in the wrong way, you'll actually fall off the map, because Klonoa is not aligned currently to the map properly if you do it like too much, if you jump too far basically. So we got the blue orb there. We're going to move on and just get past these moves here. Again, you pick up an orb and then you do like short path. And then we're going to move on to the yellow orb. So the other one's pretty straightforward, it's just doing it as intended. There's nothing really special about this, it's more optimization at this point. So we'll be coming back for this checkpoint later on for the green orb. Going to do more checkpoint abuse. But we've got a short time for any quick donations if the wonderful host wants to drop any.
I want to actually talk about the charity if you have
Of
a moment
course,
for me. So, just to give you a little bit of an insight onto Crisis, like they actually operate 9 skylights here in the UK, all the way from Birmingham, all the way up to Edinburgh, back to London. They have a few of them around, and those are actually provide practical one-on-one support to prevent and end homelessness by taking a housing-led approach, which basically means that they're trying to get people off the streets into housing and help them get their life back on track, finding some ground for them, getting them some support, and trying to get them into a position where they can find jobs again, they can get some livelihood going. So it's a great cause. Keep your donations coming, everyone. We have an entire weekend of UKSG ahead of us. Come on, let's go. We can actually make some magic happen here this weekend. Keep it coming.
Thank you, thank you. So we're going to grab this move here. It's got to make sure that we hit the elevator as well, otherwise it won't come back down for us. And we're going to do similar strats to what we did with the red orb. We're going to hit the checkpoint and then die to respawn over on the other side. We're going to fall, throw. Nice. It's quite an easy one to get this checkpoint. It's just a bit of timing. You kind of want to do it a little bit later than you think, really, because if you try and do it early, you're not going to hit the top of the checkpoint bubble. So we're getting the last orb here, and we're pretty much wrapping up this level, and we are done with 5-1. It's probably one of the longer levels of the game, I'd say. If not the longest, probably.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the longest.
I think 3-1s. 3-1, 3-2 are pretty long as well.
Yeah.
So, because this is like the last sort of, not super long level, but it's probably, the next levels coming up later are pretty short, so. 5-2 has one of the more unique mechanics of the game. It has a day and night cycle. So currently we're in the day, it's nice and bright, lovely and vivid, moves to collect here, and then it starts turning into nighttime where the moves cannot be picked up, sort of anti-moves. During the night as well, these platforms are also able to be jumped on. But ideally we're going to be using certain cycles of the day to do certain things. Shadow's going to try and clip through the wall here. He's got time. Oh, nice. That's good. Oh,
I think it went too early. Okay, there we go.
So what Shadow's doing here is when you start entering the room, when it starts turning to night, it'll turn back to day when you leave the room. But what he did there is he just skipped going inside that room altogether by clipping through the wall. It does save quite a significant amount of time for sure. Going to grab a Moo and just throw out the switches just instead of walking all the way there. So ideally we're going to be going back and forth between day and night for a lot of the strats that we're doing. But we should have set this up now so everything's timed perfectly, so it should turn nighttime now. And then we can climb up these platforms. We're trying to stay on this sort of like pattern of day and night at the moment, because I think if you start missing stuff, I think the day and night sort of shifts in terms of how long it takes. Because I know that I've messed up during runs before, and it's sort of messed up the timings for the day and night.
Yeah, because we need it to be night when we reach a set of platforms later on. Otherwise, we'll have to wait like 15 seconds for the day to go back to night again.
So we just did a bit of a damage boost there. You just need a bit of HP, so ideally you need 3 HP minimum to be able to do the damage boost, because if you have 2 HP, you can take 2 hits and die. So here we're going to grab some moves and hit the switch in the background. I'm going to... there we go. Oh,
yeah, that's messed up the cycle now.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait now because it's going to go nighttime. And we're not going to have enough time to climb up these platforms, so we're just going to have to wait about 10-15 seconds. So this is why it's important to try and make sure that you're on the cycles at the right time. Otherwise, you do have to just play the waiting game. But yeah, it's been really good this run so far. Like,
yeah,
got the 4-1 instantly. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was the trick I was most afraid of for this run. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, we're fine.
Okay. So it's going to go nighttime when you leave the room now. Because it was turning daytime.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so here we're going to be doing a... I guess it's sort of a ring shot clip. I don't know how to describe it. But basically, Shad's going to listen for a certain input here.
I don't think I would have made it anyway.
Well, you got it. So what Shadow's doing here is there's a tiny gap in between the bars and the wall where he can actually grab the Moo inside the prison without having to do the switches. That's the wall.
Yeah. No.
Wall.
I can't get... Okay, I'll have to reset.
Okay. So we're going to leave the room and then go back in because it turns it instantly to daytime.
There we go.
So again, listening to a sound cue there. So when you can hear it colliding with the wall, that's the wrong position. But when you hear the ring shot just do it quite smoothly, then it's the right position, basically. And that's pretty much the day and night level coming up to an end. Like I said, this is probably the last sort of interesting level. The next 2 levels are pretty... well, they're all interesting, of course, but this one's one of the more creative levels for sure with the mechanic. I think it's worked out perfectly well when they were making it. However, same can't be said for the upcoming boss fight. Joker. So, Joker is a bit of a nuisance for sure. It also has a day and night cycle to the boss fight as well. So what we want to do is we want to grab moves, but first of all we throw one while he's bowing at us. You know, he's doing something nice and kind and we throw a Moo at him. It's like, wow, so rude. That's a good hit there. So we do 3 hits every sort of cycle. And then basically he'll transform it instantly to nighttime, which also crystallizes the moves temporarily and turns them into anti-moves again, which we can't collect. It turns into this big Pokemon ripoff again. And what we want to do here is we want to paint lots of these tiles to yellow. So the green tiles require 1 tap, the blue ones require 2, and then purple require 3. He'll do 2 different attacks in this mode as well. He'll do a sweeping attack, and he'll do a bit of a chop attack, like so. He can destroy the moves as well, if they're in the wrong positions. Sometimes the moves will also try and dodge it by just jumping across his like sweeping attack. And once you paint all the tiles, then he'll transform back into his regular Joker state. So, in a sense, there's 3 phases to this fight as well, because Joker's movements start becoming a bit more erratic, making it harder for you to hit his hitbox, which is just his body. The fists will deflect any of the moves that go near him, like so. Get 1 more hit, and then we go back into night.
Oh. Okay.
It's important to note as well, anytime you die in a boss fight, you're doing the whole boss fight again. So very important not to die or fall off for sure. You can also fall off at the end of a boss fight as well, and if you do that when it says the level's clear, you're doing it again. So it can happen. It's more something you'll just learn not to do. So if you also colour some of the tiles quickly enough, you'll get additional HP in the level. Like so. So these HP pickups will just go around the arena and they'll fall off if they get to the edge. But we don't really need it at the moment. For the correct chop attack. And then we are done with the painting. 2 more hits and then the boss fight is done. So Joker in his sort of third phase will start jumping up and down quite a lot, so you've just got to make sure to time it right. It's only 2 hits and then we're done. But we are getting close to the final portion of the game. 2 more levels and 2 more bosses to go after this. And that is 5-2 done. Not a bad fight, actually.
Yeah, it was a pretty clean Joker, to be honest. Apart from that one hit that almost made me fall off.
So, 6-1. Casually, this level is pretty long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 4 minutes long.
Yeah. So, this level usually has a lot of going around, hitting these coloured runes, which will destroy lots of like blockades around the level. So all these red, green, blue, yellow. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to go into this room here. Got to grab a Moo. And we're going to do some 1-frame taps to clip the Moo underneath this ceiling. Like so. And then we're just going to simply go outside. We're going to go for a nice little walk outside. Into the wonderful starry floor, which lags the game quite a bit. You can jump here, but it's a little bit risky because you don't want to accidentally use the Moo as well. Then we're going to jump up these tiles. It's quite easy to fall off these tiles if you're not careful.
Yeah, just grab the checkpoint there just in case it happens.
Yeah. And then that's the level done. That's it. So we're this late into the game and these levels are pretty short if you know the big skip to it. And now we're going to do a safety save here because there's a chance that the game can crash on Guardius.
Yeah, I've never had it personally, but I have seen other runners get it, so...
So yeah, 6-2. It's going to be a bit of an interesting level again. It's even longer this level, I would say, than 6-1. But again, we're going to do a lot of clips, which allow us to skip pretty much the entire level. So the first clip will allow us to... Well, there's 2 ways of doing this level, basically. There's 2 different areas to clip to. So first of all, we're going to go outside and pick up a Moo, and then we're going to come back inside. But like I said, we're getting quite close to the end of the game. We've still got about 6-7 minutes left. So I'm going to grab this Moo that respawns there, and then Shadow's just going to clip through this wall on the left here.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt a fast clip here, which you can clip to the right, straight to the final part of the level.
Nice.
Nice,
well
got
done.
it.
So what that does here, it does skip having to do this triple jump, which can be a little bit awkward to do sometimes if you don't know the timings. And now we're straight into the second to last boss fight of the game, Guardius, which is seen as the main antagonist of the game. He's just a cloak and a head mostly, but for some reason he's now got arms now. It's kind of funny in the cutscenes, he's just a floating head with this cloak. So Guardius has 3 phases to it. So phase 1 is where he's dropping these sort of like spirit balls with some moves in them. What we're going to do here is we're going to throw moves into Guardius, but we're not going to do them all too quickly. So Shadow's going to hesitate here with 1 hit there, because as soon as you do the 4th hit, it'll switch to phase 2. But we're going to use as much as phase 1 to get as much damage as possible to make phase 2 a lot easier. And then he's going to go inside the ball just to skip an animation. So if you accidentally go into these during the boss fight normally, then you have to do this little quick sequence here to go back into the arena. So now Guardius just needs a couple more hits, but we've also got to be careful. If we do another hit, he'll go straight into phase 3. So Shadow's got to time this quite well with all the move positions. Nice. Well done. So that skips phase 3, which phase 3 can be one of the more awkward phases to deal with.
Yeah, he does like a really long like spinning animation with the triangle before releasing the moves.
Yeah.
It saves around 20 seconds to skip the 3rd phase.
Yeah. You can also accidentally skip phase 2 as well if you're not careful, if you do too much damage in phase
Yeah, I've seen that like once. I don't think anyone knows how it works.
So we're into the final boss, Nahatum. Now Hatum has 3 phases to him. They're essentially 3 separate boss fights, basically. So the first one here, we want to grab moves and insert them into the cannons, where our lovely companions, which we never really got to introduce to really in the run, because we skipped all the cutscenes. So Nahatum basically has a couple attacks here. So first attack is to spawn in moves. One of them will be able to be grabbed, the other ones will be armoured, until he does his wave attack to destroy the armour. And then the tongue attack is one that you don't want to get caught by, because it does eat up a lot of time, for sure, and also your chances of getting moves into the cannons. So we've got 4 cannons filled. We're going to get 1 more done.
Nice, got good RNG here. You save 10 seconds here because you skip an animation if you're fast enough, but it's 50-50 which side the move spawns on.
Now our companion's going to fire the cannons, and you would think that would be the end of the game. You think, oh wow, it's already defeated. But Nahatum's like, nah, I'm hungry. Oh no. Oh dear. And now we go inside the belly of Nahatum, which is very interesting. So Nahatum Phase 2, basically we're going to fall off the edge here just to quickly skip a sort of like start sequence to the fight, which spawns in the crystals, which we have to attack. So now they're fully spawned in, so it's just quicker to do that. And then we're going to grab moves and then just throw them towards the background where the crystals are. Nahatum basically has pretty much 1 attack here, which is just doing this sort of laser attack which you can jump over. Think it was like jump rope pretty much. So we're going to get these last 2 crystals. Every time you hit a crystal it gets faster and faster, the sort of seesaw. And then we've also got 2 more hits to a red crystal that's going to spawn afterwards. We'll get this one here. Might be able to get this one. I have to wait then.
Yeah.
That's fine though. Oh, there
Okay, there we go.
So now we've got this red crystal that's going to spawn. We've got to wait until it spawns in. And again, the move's going to spawn in the middle. Nice, good hit. And that's phase 2 done. So now we're moving on to the very final phase, essentially the final boss. So we can mash start here just to skip the cutscene. There's quite a few cutscenes here just before the final phase. And again, we're going sort of similar to the first phase here, where we're filling up the cannons. Now Hatum has more attacks this time, so he's going to start destroying the platforms. He's also going to do ring attacks as well, and also spawn in enemies, which are metal moves that are just running around the arena. As you start filling up more and more cannons, the boss does more and more of that attack, or like a upgraded attack. So he's going to destroy more platforms this time, like 3 or 4 potentially. So, yep, 3 in this case. So we've got 3 more cannons to fill, 2 more now. But yeah, time is going to be coming up very shortly. So we're going to grab this move here. Nice, that's good. Got 1 more move to go. And fill that last cannon. There we go. So time is coming up. And time.
Very, very nice, Shadowknight. Very well done.
Only 2:17. Not bad.
Yeah, it's a really good
Yeah,
time
really good,
actually.
yeah.
7 minutes in front of estimate.
What do you think then? It was a good run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good run. Most of the tricks were really quick, so
Yeah.
especially 4-1. I was worried I'd get stuck on that for a few minutes, so luckily it didn't happen.
And now we have to unfortunately see Klonoa get sent back to, well, I'm not going to spoil the story, but we basically joke at the moment saying that this is what happens when you reset the runs on your live split. So he just resets back to the beginning of the game. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. So, but absolutely this game it's a wonderful experience casually for sure. And it does make me cry when I play it casually as well. It is a lovely story. So, but yeah, I want to say thank you for letting me co-commentate. It's been
Thanks to you, UKSG, for letting me do the run. Thanks to my commentating for GG.
Thank you.
And thanks to the audience behind me. Shout outs to the Klonoa community. And yeah, I think we'll pass it over to the next run.
We sure will, but not before I send off with some final donations. I have £10 from Ketzi that just says egg, which is indeed for a run later in the day, but that's going towards the bit or the actual incentive for Tiny Tim's Power Rangers cosplay incentive, which is going to be very cool. And I have another £100 from Tojin here that says, since I'm stuck at home, have some money. I truly, truly appreciate it. We really appreciate every donation coming in. Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, honestly, thank you, Shadow Knight. Thank you, Infinity Gene, for this wonderful showcase of Klonoa. I absolutely adore this game. And yeah, well, we'll see Klonoa back in 1-1. That's basically it. Don't go anywhere. Get some stretches in, get some water, but we're going to be here the entire weekend. My shift is over for now, so I'm going to hand it over to the wonderful Tombo, and we're going to see Star Wars Battlefront 2 coming up shortly. So don't go anywhere. Yeah, see you in a bit.